There comes a point and time in life where you feel like, you know what? I'm no longer going to live in poverty. I'm no longer going to live in this state of depression. I'm tired of being stagnant. Have you ever reached that point in your life? Have you ever got to a point whereby you felt like you were crashing, where you felt like deep inside your heart, you were at the rock bottom moment? This is what I want to talk to you about today. That it is only and until you reach that point whereby you will begin to take massive action, whereby you will start to make it upon yourself that I am going to change my life. Come rain or sunshine, my life will never be in this state again. I just want to share you my story that it happened in 2015 when I first started my dating life. And like anyone else, I was so excited that, you know what, finally, I have found someone close to my heart. But little did I know that it was a time, or in this kind of relationship, or in this particular relationship, I was going to learn myself. I was going to explore and even discover a part of me that I have never known before. And I'll say that, like all the people, we always come with expectations. I want that, I want this. But all those things were met. And it got to a point whereby I felt deep within my heart like something was not just going right. It was like now this relationship, it was becoming something that was fulfilling me. It was like I was clinged into this relationship every time, and I forgot about other aspect of my life, my career. You know what? Every time when I was with this guy, I was always happy. But deep down my heart, I felt like, you know what, something is missing, but I couldn't tell what was that. It was only when I reached a point whereby I started feeling so depressed, and I started becoming someone who was so controlling in a relationship, because like I was saying, this relationship, it was like it was my all. Little did I know that I was attached to it. So, but it was only until when I reached a point whereby I felt like something is not just right within me, and it is going to require me to change the way I have been doing things in this relationship. It is going to require me to change the way I have been perceiving life to be, because it was like now I was forgetting that there was something called purpose. And it was something that was happening out of ignorance, because if you can go back to my last video where I was talking about the reason why most of the people usually find themselves hating in romantic relationships, is the fact that we have never been given those life skills by our parents, that this is how it is. Our parents have, that is to say that our parents have not given us that foundation, that these are the skills and the tools that when you move on with your life, you're supposed to use them. So that breaking point of my life, of that depression, where I felt like things were not going according to my own way, where I felt so disappointed, where I felt like I was cheated, where I felt like, you know what, this relationship, it was just something else. Then I took a moment and I sat with myself and I asked myself these questions. I said to myself that, you know what, there's something strange in this relationship. All along in my life, I have been having other relationships and I was not as attached as to this one. I asked myself this question: what is it that life is trying to teach me in this relationship? And the more I got to the deeper point of myself, as I was laying there, disappointed, it came to a point whereby I started to realize that the thing is, there was no one ever taught you that this is how life is supposed to be. And now you're just figuring it out for yourself. And one thing that came into me that point, I was no longer concerned about the fact that I was hating in that relationship, but I came to a point where I told myself that I want to learn to love like God. I want to give love like God. It was that point where I reached a point whereby I told myself that I am going to give love. And in that moment, it came to me that you have to seek and find out who is God, because in your entire life, God has been so protective to you. God has been loving to you, and He is someone that every time, it doesn't matter your mistakes, it doesn't matter your faults, He always forgive you and He always give you love. So I told myself that moving on in my life in this relationship, I just want to love like God. I just want to love without any expectation. And it was that point also where I realized that my life, my career, my financial life, things were just falling apart. My scholarships, my performance at work, because I was not just focused. And I realized that it was a point in time of my life whereby I was supposed to relearn life. Imagine, after living 25 years of your life, you have learned a lot of things, and you realize that one moment of your life came, and it was like that moment just stirred up all the things that have been happening, and it happens, or it seems as if that one thing is that particular thing that has made your life to become a mess. Because for me, I felt like that relationship made my life a mess. But I started to realize that it was really a blessing to have met that one particular gentleman, because all along I felt like I was sleepwalking. I thought like I was alive, but when I reflect back, now I just got to a point of realizing that, you know what, you have been dead. You have been dead. And the way you thought life is, or the way you thought things are supposed to be, it was not you. All along you have been living according to your senses. All along you have been living according to your environment, but you never lived from within yourself. You never lived from your inner being. So from that point, I started to realize that, you know what? In life, it seems as if we are apart from each other as people. It seems as if we are different from each other, but in the real fact, there's one spirit. And that spirit, it has created all things in this world. You go to America, you go to South Africa, you go to New Zealand, you go to Australia. There's that breath of life that each one of us, irregardless of our color or our ethnic groups, we still breathe the same breath. So in that moment, I started to realize that we are one. We are united. It doesn't matter the qualifications that I have or the qualifications that you have. But what makes us different is our environments. We come from the same source, God. And it is just that we find ourselves in different environments whereby we get to learn different set of skills and ideas and beliefs. So to me, I was like, you know what? This is really an awakening moment in my life. And I started to discover a lot of things about myself. I started to become more aware. That's when I began to become more conscious of my environment, of how things are happening. Because all along, yes, I knew God, but I felt like I wasn't as conscious as I am now. I felt like all along things were happening in my life and I was not really in control of my life because I wasn't aware of them. And those are the most powerful things that you would really appreciate about being awakened, is the fact that now you begin to see life as it is. You begin to feel from deep within your spirit that there's life beyond my senses, life beyond what I can comprehend. There's life and there's that potential and ability within me that when I use my senses or when I use my abilities or qualifications, it's like I limit this potential within me. So it was really a wonderful moment in my life. And there is more that I can talk to you about this experience. But what I want to talk to you today basically is that one particular event in your life whereby you are feeling like things are not just right. The thing is, if you can just make a turnaround and find yourself back to your core, you will start to realize that every experience in this world, the people we meet, though sometimes we may have this idea that there are wrong people, there are bad people, but God says that all things work together for good. And that entails everything, whether it's a good experience or a bad experience. So I want you to get deep into your life and kind of find yourself back in that state whereby you feel as if things are not working out, because you know what, it might be a time of your awakening. It might be a time whereby the universe is trying to connect you to its core, so that all the disconnection that you have been feeling in your life, it's time now you have to work more on yourself and you have to relearn life. And the thing is, relearning is one of the most challenging experience ever, because at the end of the day, after being awakened, you go to a point whereby you start to realize that there's more and abundance in this life, and I have to live like a queen or a king, because I am dominating, because I'm a god here. So when you reach that point, it becomes like now there's some kind of resistance within you, because now you want to walk in the newness of life that you have been awakened to. You want to live a life of lack behind you. You want to live a life of depression behind you. You want to live a life of bitterness behind you. You want to live a life of living in limitation behind you. You want to live a life of living for people and stepping into your authentic self. So how wonderful is that moment? And what I want to tell you is that it's never going to be an easy moment, because now you have learned a lot of things over 25 years, over 40 years. Imagine all those years, and now you are discovering now that there's more to life, and you're trying as much as possible to walk in this abundance that life has. And as much as you are willing, as much as you are desiring, you will have it. Anything that a man asks will receive it. Anything that a man seeks, you will find. Because asking is like giving your demands to God and saying that, God, I want this. And the nature of God is that He never disappoints. He always gives us what we desire to have. And if we seek, you will even discover the most deepest wisdom you have ever come across in your life. You will get to a point whereby you feel like there's more to learn about this world. There's more to learn about this universe. And that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. That every challenge that comes to you, every moment whereby you feel like this is my rock bottom, I feel as if this stone of challenges is just on top of my head, and I just can't even find myself to come through out of this. I just can't find myself to come out of this rock that is on top of my head, rock bottom. But as long as you have that strong desire and you have said it to yourself that enough is enough, you will start to experience the change that even you never knew could happen, or even the growth that within yourself you never knew could even happen. It is only when you allow God and allow the boldness that is in God to come and stay within you. It is in that moment whereby you begin to go through a process of relearning. It is through that moment whereby you begin to go through a process whereby the new you is trying as much as possible to come forth, but the old you is trying to resist. But one thing powerful is that there is nothing ever evil or bad that can win good. As long as God is in control, you will always win. So this is all that I had to share with you today, and I hope that you have enjoyed yourself. Until we meet in our next video, I hope that you are blessed. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to leave your comments, because I really appreciate them and I want to know if I am giving value to you. They help me to know what kind of information that I can share with you. Until we meet in our next video, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that you are blessed.